So every now and then, the UK Home Office, they sit down and then they look at the current situations in the country with regards to immigration. And then they decide, let's change this, let's add this, let's remove this, okay? And they call these changes that they make statements of changes. So for the year of 2025, they have now published the very first statements of changes for the year 2025. They have made changes to lots of things, lots and lots of things. The whole statement of change document that has recently been published, when I say recently, I mean as at the 12th of March 2025. The whole thing is about 135 pages. It's a 135 page document. And they also did an accompanying document, which is like more of an explanatory document, which is also 20 pages. I have linked both documents in the description below. So just look at the title of the video, click on more or read more, and then you'll be able to access it so that you can read it for yourself. But for those who don't have time to read and would rather watch Nanelle, big ups to you, right? So I have summarized some of the things in this document or in the statement of change that concern most of my viewers, okay? So if this interests you, stay tuned. Stop that. So like I said, they have made so many changes. This is a brief list of some of the changes. They made changes to visit visa requirements for our brothers and sisters from Trinidad and Tobago. They've made, changes regarding the Ukrainian permission extension and homes for Ukraine schemes. They've made changes relating to the EU settlement scheme. They've made changes regarding to adding children visiting the UK from a French school. They've made changes regarding British national overseas. They've made changes regarding those coming to study English short term in the UK. They've made changes regarding the skilled worker route, which I'm sure most of my people watching me would like to know what these changes are. They've made changes regarding the global talent visa, regarding the permit-free festival, relating to child student safeguarding, changes regarding PhD students following their supervisors to other institution or another institution. So many of these changes, and I'll just talk about a few of them. YouTube gives me an idea of where most of my viewers are from, okay? So I have selected a few that might benefit some of my viewers or most of my viewers. If I say I am explaining everything that they mentioned in this statement of change, we won't finish this video, okay? This video will be too long to watch. So let's talk about what is affecting our brothers and sisters from Trinidad and Tobago. So the whole time, right, if you were from Trinidad and Tobago and you wanted to visit the UK, you could actually come without a visit visa. All you needed was your plane ticket, and then maybe when you get to the immigration at Heathrow, they'll ask you a few questions and then you enter because you are from Trinidad and Tobago. That was a privilege that people from Trinidad and Tobago were enjoying. They could come to the UK visa free. However, the UK Home Office is saying that they have realized a trend. And what is this trend? They are saying that lots of people have been seeking asylum, and they realize that the numbers of these asylum seekers from Trinidad and Tobago keep increasing. And when they check, they realize that so because it's easy for them to come to the UK and then they say they are visiting, and because they don't require a visa, that's why the numbers keep increasing. Many people are using that route. Buy a plane ticket, come to UK without a visa because they did not require one, and when they come to seek asylum. And the UK government is saying no, that is to our expense, because when you come and seek asylum, we have to pay people, caseworkers, to go through your asylum claim. So we are paying people to go through your asylum claim. We have to give you accommodation. We have to give you money every week or every month for your feeding and all of that. We have to literally take care of you at our expense, and the numbers keep increasing, so we can't keep doing that. So for this reason, now the Home Office is saying that now if you are from Trinidad and Tobago, you need a visit visa to come to the UK like the rest of us. So what does this mean? It means now you cannot just buy a ticket. So you need to prove your intent of visit. You need to submit your financial documents, your pay slips, your whatever, all to prove that you're a genuine visitor, and when you come, you will go back. Long story. As for the UK Home Office, very soon they'll even say people from America, they need to show their pay slips and all of that. Hey, UK. Okay. Now, what next? What other statements of change affect most of my viewers? Let's talk about the changes that are affecting the skilled worker route. So with the skilled worker route, this thing makes a lot of sense. So the first change with regards to the skilled worker route is those affecting care workers and senior care workers. So the UK Home Office, they have sat down and then they have realized that lots of people, they come here on skilled worker visas. They come and then the employer says that we don't have shifts for you, so go look for your own part-time job, you know, they make these people stranded because their COS says you are their employer, and now you're telling them there are no hours available, so they should go. So they realized that this was going on, okay, and there's a lot of people. I personally knew somebody who was in a safe house because their employer was doing this, and the UK Home Office got to hold of it. They took all the people that were under this employer, they put them in a safe house, were taking care of them temporarily until they sorted out the issue and all of that. So this is troubling the UK Home Office, and then they are saying that now, if you're an employer and you are recruiting somebody from overseas, or you are recruiting somebody from, let's say, another immigration route, why don't you look? You should try and look at the people who are already in the UK and their sponsors could not give them work, or their sponsors could not give them hours. So look at these people first. And now when you're applying for the COS, you have to prove that you tried to find people, some of these people, and you did not get it, before you can bring more people into the UK. And I think it makes sense because day in, day out, people are still getting the visas to come to the UK, right? To getting care worker visas to come to the UK. However, there are still people here who are struggling. I heard of a story of a lady who came after she had paid bribe to whoever, and then when she came, the employer said there was no job, and now she was stranded. She had no job, she had no place to eat, she had nothing. She became stranded literally, and she has sold everything to come to the UK, so she couldn't go back. And apparently she was now, you know, asking people, begging people for help and all of that. This is the reality for most people. So now the UK Home Office is saying that as an employer, before you bring more people into the UK, there's a pool of people, and they said England, there's a pool of people in England, right, who came on skilled worker visas, specifically as care workers or as senior care workers, and their employers, let's say, have lost their license, they have no jobs, blah blah blah. Recruit these people first, and then before. And I think it makes sense. Let me read the exact words. They are saying that changes are being made to the provisions for care workers and senior care workers. These changes are being made in response to the growing pool of workers in this route who no longer have sponsorship because their sponsors have been unable to offer sufficient work, or they have lost their sponsor license. So the changes require sponsors, like now sponsors, to try to recruit from this pool of workers who are seeking new employment before seeking to sponsor new recruits from other immigration routes or from overseas. To enforce this requirement, the sponsors must provide confirmation from the relevant regional or sub-regional partnership that they have tried to recruit in this way and confirm that no suitable workers were available from this pool. So you have to prove it before they can let you give a COS to somebody coming from outside, okay? To help those here who are struggling, it doesn't make sense, and I agree with this one entirely. However, they are saying that these changes are only for care jobs with working locations in England. So if you are from Scotland, Northern Ireland, or Wales, this does not affect you. And they're also saying that it doesn't apply to people who were already sponsored in these occupations before the changes took effect. And they're also saying that those switching from other immigration routes who have been working lawfully for their sponsor for at least 3 months are also not affected. So for instance, it's not like when you came, your employer lost their license. They haven't lost their license. It's not like when you came, your employer did not get sufficient work for you. They got sufficient work for you. You are just changing employer. In that case, you are not going to be prioritized. And if you are in Northern Ireland, Wales, and Scotland as well, you are not going to be prioritized. You are not part. It's just for those in England whose employers have lost their sponsor license because maybe they did not obey the immigration rules, and those whose employers did not have enough hours for them and they came. Those are the people we are talking about here. Okay. Another changes that they made regarding skilled worker visas are with regards to the salary threshold. So as we all know, if you are coming to the UK on a skilled worker visa, there's a minimum salary requirement. There's an amount of money you should be earning before you're eligible to come on this visa. So your employer should be willing to pay you this amount of money before that COS can be granted. And they are saying that changes are also being made to update the minimum salary floor from 23,200 per year, or £11.90 an hour, to 25,000 per year, which is around £12.82 per hour. So they are saying that it is a standard practice to update this and other salary requirements across work visa routes each year using the latest annual survey of hours and earnings data from the Office of National Statistics. This ensures that salary requirements continue to reflect the latest pay situations for UK workers. So obviously when they increase the minimum wage in the UK and all of that, and wages go up, it's supposed to also reflect those that foreigners will be paid when they are coming to the UK, okay? And so they look at all of these things and the situation in the country, and then they increase it every year if need be, right? So that is why they are doing that. So this is to ensure it reflects the latest annual survey of hours and earnings data and remains significantly above the national living wage, which is also increasing in April 2025. Okay, they're also saying that ongoing rates for individual occupations in healthcare and education are also being updated, where they are drawn from national pay scales so that they continue to reflect the latest pay scales. Updates to going rates for other occupations are being made only to reflect the new minimum salary floor of 25,000 per year, which is equivalent to £12.82 per hour. Okay, so they also made changes, or they are considering making changes regarding deductions from people's salary, especially those that come to the UK on sponsorship or on with a COS. So they are doing this to mitigate against sponsorship costs being passed on to applicants and to close an unintended loophole where applicants could effectively pay towards their own salaries, because they've realized that some employers will give people like a whole deduction table. They have to pay for their own COS, they have to pay for their own immigration health charge if need be, they are paying immigration skills charge, they're paying this, and then they realize that sometimes it looks like there is a loophole in this area and it's making some people pay towards their own salaries that are being used to pay them, okay, which is not fair. So they are looking to, correct these issues as well. It is unfair, so unfair, with the amount of money that people have to pay, especially when they are leaving an employer to a different employer. It's so unfair. Okay, they're looking to do this as well. Minor changes are being made to the definition of a certificate of sponsorship, okay, that's a COS, and to the validity requirement relating to a COS in the skilled worker route and skilled worker and government authorized exchange routes. They are saying that these changes reflects the new sponsorship IT system under which the COS is valid for 90 days rather than 3 months. So usually when you get a COS, you are required to come to the UK to start your new job within 3 months. Okay, but now they are saying that it's valid, it's as a minor change, it's valid for 90 days rather than the 3 months. So 90 days is 90 days, but 3 months could be, let's say, 85 days. You understand? Depending on which months we're talking about. Let's say there's February and there are 30 months. So you get it. But these are minor changes. They're also saying that there are corrections. This one, they are saying that corrections are being made to the definitions and settlement requirements relating to the following routes: skilled worker, tier 2 minister of religion, representative of an overseas business, global talent, innovator, founder, international sports person. These clarify that the qualifying period for settlement is as a lead applicant in these routes must consist of time spent in the UK as a lead applicant, not as a dependent. Okay, dependents may qualify for settlement separately based on the time spent in the UK as a dependent. This clarifies the policy position following previous statements of changes which had unintentionally made the drafting unclear. So this one, I've done a video about it. I think I saved the video as watch this before you switch to another visa or you switch to being a dependent. So most people, because there are less restrictions on the dependent visa, most people tend to want to be on a dependent visa than as a lead applicant, right? Now, in one of the statements of changes that they did earlier, they unintentionally, by error, they made that part unclear. Now they are making it clear that if you fall under any of these visa categories, okay, when it's time for you to apply for settlements, they are looking at how much time you spent in the UK. Let's say if it's a skilled worker visa, that means it's 5 years. They are looking at you spending 5 years as a lead applicant on that particular visa. If there was a point in time in the 5-year period where you switched to a dependent visa, let's say you did 2 years as a lead applicant, you switch to a dependent visa so that you don't have any immigration restrictions on the number of work you can do, the number of jobs you can do. Now, after that 2 years, if 3 years later you apply for your settlement, you'll say no, because now you're a dependent, and on the dependent visa you spent only 3 years, and on the lead applicant visa you spent just 2 years. So you cannot add those. They are two different things. Spend 5 years as a dependent, qualify. Spend 5 years as a lead applicant, qualify, but you cannot combine. And it affects skilled worker visa, tier 2 minister of religion, representative of an overseas business, global talent, innovator, founder, international sports person. Okay, now with the global talent as well, I've spoken about the global talent visa, where fashion designer from Ghana was able to come to the UK on this with her family. She shared all the tips and the details. Good, right? Now they've made changes to this particular type of visa. They are saying that if you are an applicant on this particular visa category and then you hold a qualifying price, you can qualify without the need to obtain an endorsement endorsements from any of the global talent endorsement bodies. So with the global talent, you have to be endorsed by, let's say, the fashion body of the UK or the whatever. But if you have a very prestigious prize, like a very, prestigious prize, you do not even need an endorsement from any of these bodies. So they are saying that applicants who hold the qualifying prize can qualify without the need to obtain an endorsement from one of the global talent endorsing bodies. In the opinion of our expert bodies, the prizes listed demonstrate irrefutable evidence of prize holders being at the pinnacle of their profession. So you don't need to prove too much, because if you've been able to get that prize, it means you're at the pinnacle of your profession, and there's no need for them to go over and see if you need an endorsement or not. So to be eligible, prizes must be given to named individuals, and therefore the list does not include prestigious awards for specific works, such as an award-winning film, or to whole organizations. Prizes should be awarded to you. Prizes included must also be open to all nationalities, and winners must be determined by experts or peers rather than a public vote. It should be a prize where you got it not by a public vote, but by, like a body of experts or by your colleagues in the industry. And it should not be an award for an organization. It should not be an award for a specific work, let's say if you're fashion, not for a specific dress you did, but for you as an individual, for your good works in general. The majority of the Golden Globes awards included on the list have been renamed in line with the current titles used by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Any prizes awarded under the previous name remain accessible under this route. The list will be kept under review and may be revised in future updates in immigration rules. So that's for the global talent category. Now, as well, for the British nationals overseas, this is a positive thing for them. So we have some people that we call British nationals overseas. These people, they are not British citizens per se, but they are called British nationals overseas, and they can come to the UK to live and work without a visa, or they could come to the UK to live and work without a visa until the UK introduced the electronic travel authorization, where now everybody who's coming to the UK, those previously who did not need a visa, will now have to apply for the electronic travel authorization. They were added to the list of people who needed the ETA, but now, as per the statement of changes, they no longer require. So when we say British and overseas, they call them BNO. They hold what we call a BNO passport. Okay, it is not a British passport, but these people are British nationals who are associated with Hong Kong. So before Hong Kong was handed over to China, they had an affiliation with British. Okay, so these people are the British national overseas. So now, as for them, they are exempt. They can still come to the UK to visit without the ETA. These are some of the statements of changes that have been made. Okay, for the changes regarding visit visas for those from Trinidad and Tobago, it started taking effect from 3 p.m. on 12th of March 2025. That's how fast. And for the changes relating to the Ukrainian scheme, they'll come into effect from 2nd of April 2025. And for the other changes, they'll come into effect from 9th of April 2025. So guys, basically this is it. Which of the statements of changes, or which of the immigration changes are you most excited about? Which one do you most agree with, and which one do you not agree with? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much guys for watching. Bye.